I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. One of the most important series that we do here on the MeidasTouch Network is we highlight former Republicans, we highlight independents, people who are not affiliated with any political parties, who are just so repulsed at the condition of the modern day Republican Party, which is the MAGA Republican Party. They are no longer conservative, they are fascist, they are extreme, and while the media is not covering the fact that so many people are leaving the modern day Republican Party, the modern day MAGA Republican Party, we highlight that here on the MeidasTouch Network, and we like to make these videos interactive. So for everybody watching this video, if you have a similar story, whether it's yourself, a friend, a family member, a colleague, a coworker, a neighbor, just somebody you know in general who was once a Republican but who has just been so disenchanted with the state of today's Republican Party, the Trump MAGA Republican Party, share your story, comment below, comment in response to other people commenting. We want to make this an interactive experience. We call this the mass exodus from the MAGA Republican Party. Let's go look at some of the comments that we've received here at the MeidasTouch Network, and let me know if you have a similar experience. Darkly Yours writes, "My dad is as red as our necks, and he voted blue with me these last two elections. Go, Dad." The next comment is, "I registered Republican when I was about 18 or 19 years old. I will soon be 57, and when Trump won the presidential election, that's when I switched to become an independent. Trump, in my opinion, was the worst thing to ever happen to this country." Book Girl writes, "I am a former Republican, but I left in 2016. To quote Ronald Reagan and most recently Adam Kinzinger, I didn't leave my party left me. At this point, I will never again vote for a Republican. Independent Democrat for the foreseeable future." Kathy Easler writes, "I also long for the Work for America Republican Party. I was a Republican until listening to the campaign lies and hate rhetoric of Donald Trump. I am now a proud Democrat. I believe in the work of President Biden and the Democrats in government are doing for the American people. It is sad that we are so conflicted right now. I never thought America would have to worry about becoming a fascist country. I remember the Holocaust. Thank you for your continued hard work on behalf of the America we all knew and still love." Thank you for sharing that. Aaron Gobra writes, "My folks were Republican, but were probably more moderate in the day. I consider myself a McCain Republican and focus on the party's conservative and Christian values. However, I noticed in 2016 that my party seemed to have no problem with lying about their opponents in Republican literature or multiple surveys. For example, do you agree with Democrats that illegals, that they should get Social Security? I didn't see that so much from Democrats. Most of my Republican friends have left the party and are now independents as the Republicans have moved towards fascism and Christian nationalism." Rebecca writes, "I was raised in a Republican family, and when it came time to register, I registered as a Republican. Since I was too busy with my life, I let my father choose who I would vote for. It took some time, but I started to diversify in voting. I know for sure I started voting Democrat when I voted for Clinton. Over the years, I voted for both parties. I thought it made me a better citizen because I wasn't voting for just a person with a R for Republican or D for Democrat by their name. Subconsciously, I think I became a Democrat when Obama took office. McCain was the last Republican I could have voted for. But when he chose Sarah Palin as his running mate, I knew I didn't want her in office. During this time, I was taking care of both my parents, so I didn't change my party until after my father died in 2019, but I had made up my mind that I wasn't a Republican." Loretta Donk writes, "Was a Republican since 1971, though I never was a hardline voter. I became a Democrat when Trump was elected. He is a crazy grifter. Only for himself, never for the people." Elizabeth Alexander writes, "I know. My father was a Republican and hated the fallen 45 Donald Trump type. They swindle their families out of their land. At least my uncle did in Iowa. Margot Romero writes, the party has been hijacked by an insane cult leader. So sad. Marna Vanloo writes, thanks, I worry about Republicans. I voted either side of the ticket, but I will crawl to vote blue. Manners Matter writes, the American people may be conservative, but it's been decades since the politicians in the Republican Party have been. It's been decades of talking conservative politics, but they have never followed through on it, even when they have a supermajority. And one of the things, we always talk about here on the MeidasTouch Network is these MAGA Republicans, they are not conservative. There's nothing conservative about their views, and the media needs to stop saying, oh, liberals and progressives on this side, conservatives on this side. That's just not the way things are. There is pro-democracy on one side, which includes liberals, progressive, independents, people not affiliated with political parties, conservatives. We could all have conversations and debates and try to reach intelligible conclusions and intelligent conclusions and try to figure out answers to complex problems. On the other side, you've got this weirdo MAGA fascist grift, which is really problematic and has nothing to do with conservative. They can call themselves that. They can call themselves anything, but the media needs to be astute not to give them that label when they're not doing conservative things. That's why here on the MeidasTouch Network, we will never call them at all conservative, and make sure when people around you call them conservative, say, whoa, that's not a conservative viewpoint at all. 75 Greenfish writes, I was an independent until Trump came into the picture. I registered as a Democrat solely to support the opposition to these lunatics on the right. She-Wolf writes, independent, but right now there's not a Republican in America I would vote for. Tim Keller writes, same here. Registered Republican searching desperately for any small government fiscal conservative types who say no to the culture wars. That's all the MAGA Republicans serve up. Culture war. It's like green M&Ms, and they're angry about Dr. Seuss and Mr. Potato Head and bathrooms and pronouns and all of these things. And it's like, can we please focus on the issues that Americans are actually dealing with? Like, can we talk about jobs, please? Can we talk about the economy? Can we talk about infrastructure? Can we talk about prescription drug prices? Can we talk about access to health care and making sure it's affordable? Can we talk about our veterans? Can we talk about protecting our seniors? Can we talk about Social Security and Medicare? Can we talk about equality? Can we talk about making sure a woman can control her body? Can we talk about real issues? I'm just sick and tired of MAGA Republicans just talking about just the strangest and culture war issues. It's just like, enough is enough. And again, as you can see, a lot of voters feel the same way. Jennifer Zimmerman writes, I'm sorry, shake my head. I'm as heartbroken for you and the disrespect to the party and the time it will take to clean up. I'm a moderate. How could I vote for Trump, much less the spineless older politicians that are a disgrace, like Lindsey Graham? Other than that, there's a security risk to this country, and they still do nothing. Marshuka writes, I'm ashamed to say I let my birth nest of right-wing vipers bully me into voting Republican once. It won't happen again. PBD writes, my husband is a lifelong Republican, and he will never vote red again. Debbie Light writes, I agree. I'm independent in my votes for past presidents. I had a perfect voting record till Trump. I would still vote for a good president regardless of party. Until MAGA is voted out, I don't see that happening. Rand Paul admitted that ban on TikTok would crush the Republicans for years. Besides the Trump agenda, what current Republican House members are doing in my version of is my version of insanity. They are after our rights. They started with abortion and now after books and schools. This is not the GOP of the past. Patrick talks about being an ex-Republican. I will never vote for any Republican ever again in my life. 21 Grams writes, I'm an independent and want nothing to do with the modern GOP. Good for you. Sybek Kossel writes, I'm conservative Republican and voting Democratic every time. Who are these psychopath politicians running the party? Thank you for sharing that, Sybek. He goes, I'm a conservative Republican and voting Democratic every time. Who are these psycho politicians running the party? And as I always say, look, I'm a Democrat. I've been a lifelong Democrat, but I don't view my support of the Democratic Party, though, simply because I'm on the Democratic team. The bottom line is that if President Biden started posting QAnon memes just once, if Biden did one QAnon meme, I'd be like, I'm out. I mean, just think about it. Like Donald Trump, since April of 2022, has posted over 500 QAnon memes. Just think about that. And again, every other thing he does is completely fascist and insane. But how is stuff like that not absolutely disqualifying? I mean, the MAGA Republicans of today sing songs with insurrectionists. They not only support the January 6th insurrection, they sent congressional delegations to meet with the January 6th prisoners, and then they created a song with them, and they call them the January 6th Choir, the J6th Choir. And then they're just, as I mentioned before, all these culture war issues. They're taking AR-15s and shooting Bud Light cans and saying, take that, Bud Light. And they're out there talking about bathrooms and pronouns and Mr. Potato Head. And they're angry at Skittles one day, and they want government to crush corporations that focus on environment, society, and governance. And I genuinely don't know what in the world, what in the world has happened to the Republican Party. I would truly want a situation where you had intelligent conversations, but we can't look to it now as like the Democratic Party and Republican Party, and we got to meet somewhere in the middle. That's just not the case. The MAGA Republican Party is so extreme. Democratic Party, pro-democracy. Do I agree with the Democrats on everything? No. Do I agree with President Biden on everything? No. But I want to have a real, robust discussion with people who truly have real conservatives ideas, not this MAGA Republican stuff. I want to have real serious discussions with people who are independents and people who are not affiliated with political parties, and Democrats and liberals and progressives. And let's come up with the best ideas, but let's focus on issues. Let's focus on issues that matter to the American people. That's what we need to focus on. I want you to share your story, please. If you know anybody like this, again, large media networks, they want to continue to gaslight. They want to elevate this right-wing fascism. We don't do that here on the MeidasTouch Network. Share your story. If you've got a story of someone in your life that you know, whether it is a family member, yourself, coworker, colleague, neighbor, whoever, who has a story similar to those that I read. These are the types of messages we need to share. And I'll leave you with this final thought, which is we need to make sure as well that people who want to leave the MAGA Republican Party know that there is a larger pro-democracy community out there of people who love this country, who just want to go about our lives in a normal way. We love America. We love our Constitution. We are patriotic, and we do it by our conduct, not through engaging in performative gestures and just repeating slogans over and over and over again. And we care deeply about our country. And so I do want them to know that there is a bigger pro-democracy community out there, because I know that there is a lot of brainwashing that goes on within that echo chamber from Fox and OAN and Newsmax and all of the lies that are spread. But let's with open arms let people know. Let's focus on our democracy. Let's protect our democracy. Let's love our country. Let's focus on intelligence and compassion and decency and humanity. And for those watching it for the first time, this is what we talk about here on the MeidasTouch Network. So welcome to the Meidas Mighty. I'm Ben Meiselas. Have a great day. Share your stories now in the comments. Hit subscribe. We're on our way to 1.5 million subscribers thanks to your incredible support. Check us out at patreon.com/MeidasTouch. patreon.com/MeidasTouch, and wherever you get audio podcasts, subscribe to the MeidasTouch podcast. All right, subscribe to our YouTube channel and have a great day.
Hey Meidas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.